God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. We exclaim this so easily, and in fact, by doing so, we proclaim what Jesus said to one of the rulers. Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone. The book of Genesis tells us that it was this God who saw all he had made, and indeed it was very good. Being created, all of us, you and me, find our dependence on and our origin in this good God. It was Adam who contested this dependence on God, creating the impression that God is a rival who limits our freedom. After all, God had said, "You must not eat the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, nor touch it under pain of death." If you see God as a rival, limiting your freedom, then you set him aside and so try to achieve the fullness of your life. However, by setting God aside, the door to death is opened, and that is exactly what happened. Death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those whose sins were not like the transgression of Adam. To depend on someone else is not a denial of freedom. Robert Cardinal Sarah explains this as follows: if dependence on someone else is seen as denial of freedom, then every lasting relationship is dangerous, because the other person always becomes a potential enemy. We read of the prophet Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Indeed, Jeremiah, like everybody else, was given parents upon whom he depended and who educated him. This dependence did not limit the freedom of Jeremiah. If so, orphans would be very free. Looking to your own parents, you might discover that you are dependent through love, which is a gift, a free dependence. I remember well one day, when the topic of discussion was money, I told the other, "I do not owe you anything," upon which the response was, "You owe me your love." Indeed, God's love creates a dependence which you need in order to achieve the fullness of your life. Love makes you live. To see God as a rival, living in opposition to God, and as a result, people and even the world are destroyed. However, the light of God disturbs those who prefer to live in darkness. And so Jeremiah, the prophet of the good God, hears many whispering, "Terror is on every side. Denounce him. Let us denounce him." Indeed, the Spirit of God, as he speaks through Jeremiah, is not always quiet. The Spirit can disturb so as to make us review our actions and bring them in line with the will of God. Of Padre Pio, it is said that he could read the hearts of people. And so one day, a lady who was very worried about her future wrote to him in order to know and to hear what to do. When the answer of Padre Pio came, she was very excited. She opened the letter, only to read, "Pray often, let your will be done, O Lord." Disappointed, she folded the letter again. She had expected great words and great actions to be done. However, as soon as you can pray from your heart, let your will be done, O Lord, there is no longer need of fear, because the will of God is nothing else than goodness. God is good. Goodness will always triumph. And so the need to do good, no matter the situation. St. Teresa of Calcutta described it so well. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone else can destroy overnight. Build anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. When the prophet Jeremiah complained that he had to proclaim violence and ruin, he fulfills his God-given mission to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. In these days, we also experience destruction and overthrowing. Indeed, terror is on every side. And this especially by people who are after our good, but also by a virus called COVID-19. If God allows destruction and overthrowing, then it is not because he is competing with us to gain control over the world. He has already given us the world in our hands, but as a steward. A steward loves, cares, and does good to what or whom is entrusted to him. Indeed, as Tom Fowlery once said, sometimes we need to fall sick in order to get better again. When the new virus came our way, the governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we were all hidden amidst the fear, we remembered how to smile. We started clapping to say thank you and called up our mothers. And while the car keys gathered dust, we looked forward to our runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe. We had grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And when we were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we had left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made way for the new. And every simple act of goodness was now given its due. Indeed, after the destruction and overthrowing, building and planting follows, driven by goodness. And so, do good anyway, as the good will always triumph, thanks to our dependence on a God who is good.